Yo, it's your boy Uncle Cooley. Welcome back to the Toast Up Podcast. If you don't know what that means to open a sincere transformation upon people. I'm here with my boy Lloyd.
Yo.
Yes,
What's going
sir.
on?
Yes, sir.
Waiting on this.
Yes, sir, bro. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, bro. I've been excited all day to shoot this podcast with you and this conversation.
I've been looking forward to it as well, bro. I told you the topic today. Today's topic is definitely about power, self-control.
Yeah.
When you hear about self-control, power, what do you think of? What do you think about?
When I hear power, I think of that's a really good question. Mm-hmm. What do I think about when I think about power? I think about someone who is always aware of their actions.
Okay.
Has reasons behind them. It doesn't just. They don't always go with the flow.
Okay. Do you think of control?
Yes.
Okay, so you affiliate power with control.
Self-control.
Self-control. Do you feel like you can have a strong influence on others' people's actions when it comes to power and how you can dictate their behavior with control? You feel what I'm saying?
Elaborate a little bit.
Okay, so look. If you really can't control yourself, mm-hmm. do you think you still have the power to control people with your words? Like, do you think that exists? Is that a thing?
Yes, you can. I think so.
Okay.
There's a type of person you would control. Then, though, I feel like if you lack self-control. Mm-hmm. Then the people are going to follow you are fools.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
They at that point it's kind of like it's the blind leading the blind at that point.
Right. It's crazy that you say that because a lot of people would be manipulated if somebody has a way with words. Mm-hmm. I was reading the 4 Agreements and it talks about how Adolf Hitler really didn't have much self-control over himself, mm-hmm. but he manipulated the entire country of Germany mm-hmm. to make him feel superior than others. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? Because of the words. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about power today. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go into my list of questions.
I love it.
The first question that I have is, do you think self-rejection exists?
What do you mean by self-rejection?
Self-rejection, where you try to convince yourself and talk yourself out of things that you really deserve in life, you really want to do in life. But instead of other people rejecting you, you reject yourself. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that's a part of confidence and knowing oneself.
Okay.
There's a difference between knowing your strengths, right, mm-hmm. and following that mm-hmm. and really honing in on your strengths and perfecting and mastering a craft that you have, mm-hmm. right, and then there's things that you just know that you prefer not to do, mm-hmm. right, mm-hmm. But then kind of like what you said, confidence comes in. Mm-hmm. A part of that, knowing mm-hmm. that you're strong in that, mm-hmm. That comes in like finding yourself mm-hmm. in that in your journey, mm-hmm. but that self-rejection part plays in with the confidence. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you'll tell yourself, I can't do this or I don't deserve this, mm-hmm. things like that. Mm-hmm. Self-deprecation.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you can try to manipulate yourself by changing your state of mind to think in reality you can't do something, but you switch your state of mind and try to manipulate yourself, give yourself confidence to not reject yourself so easily?
Yeah.
Do you think that's much healthier opposed to automatically trying to reject yourself without even trying?
In the long run.
Mm-hmm. Do you think people over 16, that's older than 16, younger mm-hmm. than 30, do you think we experience more self-rejection than external rejection? Why is that?
I think that people get afraid to hear no before actually hearing no.
Why do you think people fear the word? Okay, because like you just said, it's the future of no, and me and Aaron podcast, we talked about that fear. It's not the fear of the moment, but it's the fear of the future, of the unknown. How do you think that plays a big part of having confidence in yourself, to where it's like living in the moment may sometimes not overpower the future? You know what I mean? Like, what would you say to that?
I think that plays back into the self-control aspect of because your brain is going to. I shouldn't say that. Right? I was going to say that your brain's going to have these self-deprecation comments when it doesn't have to, but they come up, right?
Negative comments are. It happens in life.
It's part of life.
It's part of life.
It may not come from sometimes the worst come from your own brain, how you perceive things. So it's your job to kind of fight that. I think it's our jobs to fight that and to not be afraid of the unknown. Just kind of accept it. Accept the moment you're in, and process how you feel about it, what you want to do, and learn how to move forward.
Is it okay? So let's talk about this more, because I want to stay here for a moment.
Strategize and move forward.
It's like this. It's like people fear the future because they don't know it. But do they fear the future because they are afraid of the results, whether it's the light or the darkness of the results? You feel what I'm saying? Because it all stems from when we were kids not being good enough. You know what I mean? And when you try to live in that moment, it's not the moment, but the future that you may not be good enough. It's all in your head, basically. Especially, growing up as a child, your parents telling you, like when you do a good job and when you do a bad job, there's consequences to that. And I feel like that sticks with us because we try to impress other people or society or meet society standards because we always want to be good enough to everyone. Where do you think that stems from in reality?
I think,
you know what I mean? Because
where do I think that
where do you think that comes from?
Where do I think that validation seeking comes from?
Yeah, yes, sir. Because that's what it is.
It can stem from multiple things. Kind of like what you said. The home plays a big part in that. How your parents talk to you and how you perceive the way your parents talk to you. So home can definitely play a big role in that, starting with the household and then schooling as well. How your peers treat you and talk to you. If you're constantly bullied, right? Well, to be honest with you, I think the kids that are bullied don't seek for the validation as much because they're kind of used to not getting recognized. You know what I mean?
It's the agreement that they planted in their mind, whereas like, I'm going to do what I want because I've been acting like this all the time. Instead of somebody that's been receiving love and then instantly they're not getting that energy anymore. So I do understand.
So versus the kid that's being bullied, like they could be having problems at home or problems with friends, and they're expressing that through violence, unfortunately. So it could be a combination of this stew that makes people wander and constantly seek validation from everyone. In reality, not everyone's gonna recognize what you're doing or necessarily care. You know what I mean?
And that goes to my next question, because I feel like it's all about, for the most part, how people perceive you in a way. But, you know, a lot of people such as ourselves around our age claim that not giving a fuck is definitely healthy. I think it is, having that state of mind whereas you don't care about validation and how other people perceive you. But in reality, I feel like everyone in the world has a somewhat a percentage of
absolutely
how they want to be looked upon.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my next question is for you is do you think life is mainly based upon reputation and perception? Hear me out. If we both taking the same class, right? Or I take a psychology course before you do, and I tell you, you know, bro, don't take this professor because, you know, he doesn't know how to answer your questions correctly. He's a poor professor, and you decide to take that. You may already have my lens. Not even you. You know what I mean? The reputation that I just gave him is through my lens, not yours. Do you think that plays a big part in our society today? Not, you know, really experiencing, it's just mainly perception and the reputation that you currently have. You know what I mean? Like, what would you say to that?
To answer your question, absolutely. I think the lens analogy that you just used is the perfect way to describe that the way that somebody else that you trust, the lens that they put on that can definitely play a part. If you don't know how to clear that away or put your own lens on, then it's definitely going to affect on how you perceive things and how you interpret things, because now you already have this predispositioned image of this or like idea of what this experience is going to be like. You already have the idea in your head that this experience is going to be bad, so now you're looking for things to make it bad.
Do you think people like us, you know, millennials, should live their life like that?
No.
Do you think why is it so important having your own opinion about something? As a psychology major, you know, you about to graduate, so I'm pretty sure you know somewhat of knowledge, specialized knowledge about this. Why is it important to not really believe perception, but only believe character and your experience with somebody or in a certain individual? Because everybody is different. Everybody's going to have their own thoughts about something. The thing is, everybody interprets different scenarios differently. Like one of my favorite analogies is it can be a 6 over here, and it could be a 9 over there.
Right. Okay. Got you.
You see what I'm saying?
That's dope. I think it's important that everybody just experiences things on their own, because you only get one life.
Facts.
You don't get a redo at this. So to me, it's important that your story is written as your story and not as someone else's. You know what I mean? Like it's not written as you following this person through your entire life. Now, don't get me wrong. That's just strictly my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. Some people can be fine with following someone their entire life.
Right.
Right. And some people need that. Some people need guides. But I think it's important for you to perceive things and interpret things on your own, because that's what makes you an independent, and that's what makes you independent, and that's what makes you an individual. Your experience is going to be unique, and is always unique. You're unique. One of my favorite quotes that you ever told me was, the your fingerprint is your own, right? You don't, everyone has a unique fingerprint, so it's what makes you you.
Right. Nobody has that but you. So it's like this. Like, what would you say to somebody that struggles with self-love? Because I feel as though when you struggle with self-love, it's hard for you to try to be an independent thinker, because you're worried about what other people, think of you. and you really don't trust yourself 100% with your decision making. What are some steps that you would try to give somebody that, you know, is struggling with having that perception of they think they're a terrible person, or they made the agreement in their head because something happened with them when they were 10 years old, and they're punishing themselves still because they got called ugly 10 years old. So now 30 years later, 20 years later, they still perceive themselves as ugly.
I got you.
You know what I mean? Like,
what would I tell them?
What would you tell them?
I would tell them that they're beautiful. Right. That's first and foremost.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I would tell them that they're beautiful, that they have a unique mind, that and unique face that only you should judge. Right. If you think you should always think that. Can I curse?
Bro, yes.
All right. You should always think that you're the shit.
Right.
Right. You have to have this mentality of I'm the shit.
And I agree.
And nobody's like me. Nobody thinks like me. It's hard. It's hard a lot because sometimes those self-deprecating thoughts come in, and like you said, you can manipulate yourself into doing things and go down this path of like following someone, right? And not really like making your own choices. But some advice I would give would, well, first I want to preface this that it's a hard decision to make. Like, it's not an easy journey to go on the route of self-love and discovering yourself and loving yourself. It's not easy. It's really hard.
It's very hard. And I feel like people, sometimes it comes easier to some people, but some people it's kind of harder because, like you said, it definitely depends on the household you grew up in and on your parents. And
it's a big factor. Your support system.
This is my next question for you. Do you think selective honesty can be important to yourself when it comes to self-control?
Absolutely. Selective honesty. What do you? Okay, can you give me an example of selective honesty?
Selective honesty is when you know something about yourself, but you avoid it. But certain things that you believe in about yourself, that's how you perceive yourself, but that's not really who you are. You feel what I mean? It's like, okay,
a little bit more specific.
Like the good and the bad, basically. If I'm not aware of being stubborn or being aggressive, if I'm completely, ignoring that about myself, I know that I am, but I'm not selective about those two traits about myself. So,
okay.
I hear the quote all the time. You are who you think you are. You know what I mean? In the sense of the way you think about yourself is how other people will perceive you. Now, how does that interfere with selective honesty? Because if I'm sitting here thinking that I'm not stubborn, but all my close friends are calling me stubborn, but I'm not believing that, do you think that could be a healthy way of handling life? You know what I mean? It's like...
Absolutely. I understand what you're saying. Okay, so I do think it is healthy for you not to believe in everything that your friends are telling you.
Okay.
Because if you don't think you're stubborn, then by all means hold that belief. Just because someone else thinks you're stubborn doesn't mean that you are. It's just how they, it's how they perceive you. It's their image of you. Now that I think that can come into how you guys communicate, and come in how you how that person communicates with you. On both sides, it's not just a one party thing. Any relationship, it's a two-way street. So it could be how you two communicate with each other. But if this person specifically holds this image of you and associates this character trait with you that you don't, then I think it's completely healthy to not put that character trait on yourself until you say, all right, yeah, I can see how I'm this or I'm that.
What if it's true, but you don't want to admit it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's selective honesty. It goes back to that, because if your friends are telling you the experiences they have with you, and they can give you all the scenarios, and it's like you're fighting it. We go through this all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we tell each other.
It's like you fighting it, bro. Start bringing up old shit. Like, nigga, you know what I mean? That's so funny. Start bringing up old shit. And you sit here like, I do that. Yeah, nigga, I just told you did that.
And we still be like, no.
Yeah, still no.
Yeah, no.
But is it important to always have this certain type of image? Because your reputation can be, for the most part, to some people, everything.
Yeah.
But not being 100% with yourself, could that always be a good thing? Or being selective can sometimes be a healthier approach to build 100% honesty with yourself?
I think you hit the nail on the head with just that last sentence. That sometimes it's on the road to being 100% with yourself. Sometimes it takes time to completely embody who you are and understand who you are, how you think, and the way you communicate, the way the energy you put out into the world. So I think that it's just part of the process of being 100% with yourself.
You know what's funny? I remember I asked you this question about like 2 or 3 months ago. Would you rather struggle with your physical appearance in the sense of not living up to society standards, you know, being a certain way where society doesn't approve, or looking beautiful on the outside, looking amazing, sexy on the outside, but struggling internally? Which one would you prefer? And I'm going to ask you that again, because society determines power with physical appearance.
Me, I'd rather the physical appearance, just because I feel like it's easier.
You rather struggle with physical appearance, or you rather be struggling internally?
I'd rather.
Think about it, bro, because like I said, society label power with physical appearance.
I'd rather struggle with physical appearance because I feel like it's easier. I just feel like I feel like that's an easier thing to deal with.
Why is that? Because it's like you said. I mean, maybe because it's you. You really don't care for validation. That plays a factor in it.
That's true. And not necessarily, because I do sometimes. Everybody seeks validation.
Everybody.
I think I said that it's easier because your body changes over time.
Okay.
So it's a natural thing. Your mindset does too, right? But an internal struggle is a process that, if you don't know the proper steps to get to a mentally healthy place, you're gonna need a guide. And even if you don't study psychology, right? Because it takes a mental strength. It takes a real strength to get to a mentally healthy place on your own.
Do that require years of growth?
Yeah, just like working out. It's just like working out. The only thing I think the difference between working out your body and your mind is, your mind is what plays the tricks on you more than your body does. Right? You go to the gym a year straight, you're gonna see results. You can kind of like pick out the muscles that you're working on. I mean, you can do the same thing with the brain, but the brain is more so like the senses. You know, you can work on particular senses. You can work on your sense of smell, work on your hearing, work on your sight, your vision, things like that. But what your brain shows you, right? So how you perceive things, I think that takes longer to change than your physical appearance. It's more of a consistent fight. You go to the gym once a day. You go to the gym once a day for 2 hours. Your brain, you got to sit with yourself all day for 16 of those hours that you're awake. So your brain processes more information in your environment than your body does. So I feel like it's more of a harder struggle.
It is because I feel like. Do you think everybody experience depression in their lifetime?
Unconsciously. Yeah.
I think what the conclusion that I'm coming up with is a lot of people experience depression because of lack of conversation with getting to know themselves. If you're around people that you're really not fond about and you're around them to the point whereas you don't even like the things that they're doing, but you're still around them and you really struggle with being alone. It's like you can slip into the state whereas you don't even know yourself. And I feel like once you get to that state of mind whereas you don't know yourself, it's kind of hard for you to do the things that you love because you don't know what you like. You don't know the passions or the hobbies that you're interested in because only thing you've been doing your entire life is following people. You know what I mean? And this is my next question for you because I definitely want to touch upon this. When it comes to power, which one is more harder for, to control? Because I read it, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. He said sexual energy is the most powerful energy on earth, trying to control that. You know what I mean? Because sex is powerful. You look at somebody, you know what I mean? And imagination plays a big part of that as well. But anger does too. Anger can be very hard to control. Which one do you think is harder to control? Sexual energy or anger?
For this particular question, I'm going to speak for myself.
Bro, it's authentic.
For myself, sexual energy.
Bro, I feel like 95% of the humans will say that.
I feel like, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you don't control that, it'll control you. You know what I mean? To the point where as you do things because of that, you want that. You know what I mean? And that's how you can really function to some people. You know what I mean? And it's like you may not even like that person for real, or you may not even like doing the things you do, but because of that type of energy, you can't control it. A lot of things can be manipulated, not in your favor, or not. A lot of things can not go your way. But the thing about anger is a lot of people black out once they reach a certain type of level of anger. Yeah. Which can be even dark. You feel what I'm saying? It's like it's kind of hard to really master the art of self-control.
Yeah, it is. Anger is blinding.
Yes, very.
You don't. I know when I get anger, you don't see like the images, right? With sexual energy, it's more like the imagination plays more of a part.
Big part, yeah.
You envision these things. Anger, you don't. I don't think you. If you don't know how to control your anger, you don't envision fighting this person. You just black out and you let your instincts and your body do the rest. You kind of working off pure adrenaline at that point.
It's like, so you feel like anger just is a majority of subconscious mind.
If you do not know how to control your anger, and if you aren't trained, then yeah, it's the subconscious mind working at that point. It's your instincts. It's just your body moving.
Do you think when you act out of anger? Because some people act out of anger differently than others.
Absolutely.
I may be angry, and you may not be. You may not consider my anger real anger.
Yeah.
Do you think anger is subconsciously the real you?
No.
In a way.
In
a way.
Partially.
You know what I mean? Because it's a state of mind thing. It's energy.
Yeah.
You can't fake energy.
Yeah.
If you're angry, you're angry. But the thing is about, like you just said, anger, you're just reacting out of instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think? Because anger can be you walking away. But anger can be you reacting in a certain way that you're not really fond about, that you really don't like. Do you think that plays a part in our subconscious mind?
Absolutely. I think that it is a part of you. How you react to anger is a part of you. Just like anything else, you can change that. It can be manipulated, changed, and developed, trained.
Through what? How can you train your anger? Like what ways? Like this is a general question. How would you try to train your anger to the point where you can react in a better way for self-control? You know what I mean? Because I feel like one of the experiences that I master is I'm trying to master self-control, sexual energy, and things of that nature. It was one time I was getting my hair braided or getting a tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
You start, your scalp itch, your tattoo itch, but it's all in the mind.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So if you tell your mind, don't scratch it, don't scratch it. Yeah. It's that simple. Just don't scratch it. No matter how tempting it is,
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
The same thing that's what I'm saying. Because sexual energy can be very hard to master.
It is. It's like it's like this. The way I envision it is like it's this flaming ball of energy in your gut, right? And you kind of have to put your hands over it and keep it in this form, so you're not expressing it when you don't have to. So to always be aware of your actions and what you're doing, because you can't fall into that space where you're unconscious of what you're doing and you don't really know what you're doing or where you're going with what you're doing. You're kind of just like, we'll see where we'll see where this goes, right? Don't fall into that state. Don't fall into that state, because you could do that. I feel like that's a self-destructive route. But it's this ball of energy in your gut that you're constantly trying to control and understand.
It's a lot of things that social media plays in a big part of our lives today. What are some ways do you think that type of energy, like no self-control at all, feeling for validation, feeling for that power of reputation and perception.
It's a different animal now, man. It's
people paying for likes.
Facts.
People paying for followers.
Yeah.
People are streaming their music when nobody's listening to it, just so they can be looked upon as better than somebody else. Goes to not being good enough for society. How do you think that plays a big part of not giving a fuck to actually giving a fuck because of social media?
It goes back to you gotta learn your ratio. You gotta learn the ratio of what you care about, what you don't care about, and how much of a fuck to give. How many fucks you can give.
Yeah.
Because learn your reasoning behind it and know your reasoning behind it. Stand behind that. So if you're streaming your music in the background to get your plays up because it makes you more money, I don't see anything wrong with that. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Me personally, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
you trying to get paid.
You're trying to get paid. I understand. Do your thing, hustler. Right. You play. Do your thing.
Nobody. Right? Don't knock the hustle.
You feel me?
I hear you.
So
yes, sir.
But if you're trying to, if you're playing your music in the background to seem like you're this lit rapper and everybody listens to your music and you're seeking this validation from society, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You're doing it to what's what I'm looking for? You're doing it to kind of assimilate into society. You're not being yourself.
Okay, this is my last question for you because I want to stay on this too. Mm-hmm. Is validation ever acceptable?
Absolutely.
When I'm not talking about jobs, I'm not talking about other things. I'm talking about to society. Is having the thing whereas you do things to meet society standards, to crave or to get that validation from others, because perception is real. Mm-hmm. How you perceive yourself is for the most part how others perceive you. I do believe that to a certain extent. Do that plays a big part? Like, is it healthy to try to get some type of validation, whereas like people believe who you say you are?
Yeah. When you need it, you know when you need it, but you don't need it constantly. You shouldn't become numb to these emotions that you have.
Mm. When should you need it though? Like
when you're feeling down about yourself, when those self-deprecating thoughts are taking over, and you're not having any positive thoughts about yourself anymore. That validation from others helps astronomically, because even the smallest compliment, you feel better about yourself the rest of the day.
It does. Compliments help.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So validation, when you need validation, right? Don't go seeking it. Okay, I'm not gonna say that, because sometimes it's okay to, when you need it. Like I said, when you need it, when you need that pick me up, when you need to lean on somebody.
It's really the reinsurance.
Exactly.
It's the reinsurance.
Yeah, and it can swing that depression, that mood that you get from depression, from depriving yourself of certain emotions. It can swing that the other way, to where now you're thinking of yourself a lot more positively, and you have a more positive outlook on life. You're a lot happier. You know what I mean? So in that aspect, I think validation is needed. It's a human need. You absolutely do. It shouldn't be a constant thing that you're constantly seeking for and become numb to.
Can you sell validation in a way whereas, like, if you really think about it, humans, it's easy to sell freedom, transformation, validation, and acceptance.
Okay,
those are the 4 things that you can sell easily to some human being.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, because it's all emotional. We all crave transformation.
Right.
We crave recognition. We want to be accepted. We always want freedom.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say or sell those things.
Yeah.
So I can sell a product like water, and I can say, hey, listen, if you drink this 5 days out the week, you'll see the transformation in your skin. You're not buying the water.
You're buying the experience and the transformation that it gives you. The experience.
The experience.
Got you.
You see what I'm saying? That's the difference.
Yeah.
Can you sell validation?
Yeah.
You ever thought about it?
No. When you first asked me, I thought about it. Right. Yeah. People
do it all the time.
People do it all the time. I'm thinking about
people buy Jordans, nice ass cars,
and those hotlines that people call to talk to somebody. Like they're back in like the 90s.
That's the thing.
Yeah, bro. Back in like the 90s or like early 2000s, they had like hotlines where you can call and talk to people. It depended on the hotline. You know what I mean? Some hotlines you could go to talk to a female, and it'll be a real intimate and it'll be a real intimate conversation. She'll talk real soft. She'll talk sexy to you, so it gets you riled up. You know what I mean? And people pay, bro, and they made millions, bro. They made millions.
Hotline blanket shit, bro. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what they would do though.
Never knew that.
Even those websites where you can like video chat with women.
It's very strange.
They just feed you compliments.
Wow. Okay. So you feel like you can do that? What if it's not
people
real,
do
though?
it. People do it.
What if it's not real shit? What if I'm telling you something about yourself when it's not reality true?
Well, me personally, I don't really give a shit. Like,
okay,
that's just me personally.
That's just you
like,
personally.
Yeah, it's just like I'm gonna think about it anyway. So I'm gonna be like, I'll probably spit it and be like, nah, you fucking lying. Are you fucking lying?
Bro,
Some shit like that.
It's like, I don't believe that by myself. When you telling me all these things,
yeah, I'm gonna do that too. But some people need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, some people need that. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see anything wrong with it. Me personally, I don't think I would indulge in that.
It's very, very unique to today's age. I feel like that's what likes are for.
Maybe
to some people.
Now I'm thinking about it. I'm
to
like,
some people.
I mean, yeah. It's like I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see anything wrong with the the video chat, specifically like the video chat, because I feel like that's the new hotline that they like that's the new age. Like you're not gonna pick up your phone and fucking and hear someone's voice, right?
You trying to see him.
Exactly. You know, our generation, we don't call people anymore. We FaceTime.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
Yeah.
So
very.
Yes. So those web chats, I don't see anything wrong with it. Especially because it gets you experience talking to girls, like real people in front of you.
Yeah.
It's a start to it, because that person is not exactly in front of you, so you know how to handle that situation better and be able to manipulate the conversation to go your way, and be aware of what you're saying. To go back to your question though, people self-validation all the time, and I think it's a high product, sell millions.
Everyone needs it.
Everybody needs it at some point.
It's a high demand.
Yeah,
it's definitely high demand.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we covered a lot, bro.
Absolutely, we
did. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay.
Great talking to you, bro. Great talking to you. This is the Toast Up segment. Meryl, toast to you, man.
I appreciate that, bro.
Toast to loyalty.
Of course.
Toast to you always being there, even on great terms, on bad terms. And toast to you just being able to accept yourself for who you are and continue to grow to the person you desire to be. And congratulations on graduating this semester. I know how much this really means to you, bro.
Thank you.
And go ahead and conquer the world, bro. And your boy's always gonna be behind you, supporting you, my nigga.
My dog.
Love dogs, bro.
Dog,
Toast to your achievements, bro.
My
love, bro.
dog.